All right, we're back on this engine. Now, it's not the next day, it's not the next week, it's been probably a month or better, because when I dry fitted this, I checked my end play and my crankshaft. It clunks up and down. Well, we are only allowed from 2/1000ths of an inch to 23/1000ths of an inch end play. Now, because this is a vertical engine, when it's the right way around, all the weight of that crankshaft, the counterweight, is riding on this boss right here. And if you can look close, you can see it's got wear on it because you've got a steel gear rubbing on an aluminum boss. And I'm out of spec. I've got like 25 or 26 thousandths slop, the best I can check it with an indicator. And trying to lift on this without turning it so my indicator moves to a different location, that can throw off your reading. So I got a hold of the place where I got the original parts from, and I asked him if they had a thinner gasket. The gasket that comes with these machines is 15 thousandths thick. Now, some engines, when you order the parts, you can get a gasket. I've got one kit I bought for a rebuild. It came with 3 sump gaskets, and you just use the one you need. And some of them also come with a hardened thrust washer that you drop over the crank, and that takes up the gap between the crank gear and the boss. Well, this particular engine doesn't offer either item. So I had to look around and try to find gasket material thinner than 15 thousandths to cut my own gasket out of. This is the original. And this is the one that I cut. This is out of 10 thousandths thick paper material. Kind of same stuff this is made out of. Now, where did I find it? Well, I went through all my sources from the shop, the tool and die shop that I work at. I do all the machine repair work. I called everybody I've ever dealt with. Nobody has it. So I just randomly started calling people, and most of them were closed, and I left a message. And a couple of days ago, someone called me and asked for Mr. Jim. Is Mr. Jim there? And I said, oh, yeah, I guess you got him. Well, this is David from Phelps Products out of, I believe, Maryland, I believe they're from. Let me show you what he sent me. It's over on the other bench. Now, they have a $25 minimum for sales. And I said, well, you know what? I need this stuff. I don't care. I need a 12-inch square piece to make this gasket out of. And he said, well, I can sell you a piece, but we got a $25 minimum. Now, this gasket material comes on a roll. He said it's 3 feet wide and 160 some feet long. And I said, well, I guess I'll take 3 feet. He said, well, I said, wait a minute. He said, if you need a little more, he said, to reach your $25 minimum, I can sell you 5 feet by 3 feet. That'll come to $25. I'll take it. Now this is 10 thousandths thick. So after he gets this thing all rolled up, I said, oh, wait a minute. I said, do you have 5 thousandths thick material? Oh, certainly. We got a big roll of that. How much of that do you want? I said, give me 5 feet of that. So he writes it all up and says, okay, thanks. We'll get it shipped out first thing tomorrow. And he hangs up. Well, 5 minutes later, he calls back. He says, now, wait a minute. I got thinking. If I sell you 2.5 feet of 10 and 2.5 feet of 5, that'll give you your $25, reach your $25 minimum. And I said, you know what? As hard as this stuff was to find, give me 5 feet of both. Well, when I got it here, it came rolled up in a box. This box. And it was trying to work with a spring. I just didn't have much luck trying to cut that gasket out. This is the center of the gasket. So I rolled it up the opposite way and stuffed it back in this box for about 3 days. Took it back out. Now it lays nice and flat. I got 5 thousandths and 10 thousandths. So if you need any gasket material, give me a holler. Now this bench, they didn't cut this stuff really straight, or it's pretty square. It's not bad. But down on this end, I don't know if you can see it, it's got a little jagged cut on it, which, hey, it's not going to hurt anything. Well, I got looking at it and I says, you know, this bench is 6 feet long and the paper is like hanging over both sides. So I got out a tape measure and I actually measured what they sent me. Well, they didn't send me 5 feet. They sent me 6 feet, 1.5 inches. So I got plenty of this stuff. Now all I got to do is figure out where I can store it, because I don't want to roll it back up. But this is the phone number and address, and I wrote his name up at the top corner here. And they specialize in gaskets, packing, and seals. Now, packing is not packaging. Packing is what you would use to, like, pack around a valve stem to seal it. That's pretty much what they specialize in. So here is the name and address and phone number and his name. So if you need any, or if you want to buy a piece, that's the place to go. That is the only place that I found that sells this material this thin. They also sell rubber gasket material. So let's shoot back over here and put this thing back together. Okay, we're back over here. We're going to start to put this thing together. I got my governor mechanism here, and I checked to make sure all the teeth are in good shape, because this is a plastic gear that rides in a steel gear, and it wouldn't take much to tear it up. Now we want to get this in the right position. And, well, I guess before we do that, we got to turn around and press the oil seal in the bottom of this sump. I got out my set of, I don't even know what you want to call them. What do they call them? a 52 piece of custom pushing driving toolkit. Sounds like they didn't know what to call them either, so we're gonna put this in here. You know what? I think I'm gonna put a little grease on that thing. Just to kind of help it slide in. Now, help if I had a rag over here. And let's see if we can get this thing to go in straight without wrecking it. Might go a little farther. You don't want to go in too deep with it and plug up the oil return hole. Where is it? In there somewheres. Oh, there it is. If you look close, you might be able to see a little light. Let's go over here. I don't know if you can see that or not. Little light shining through. That's the oil return, so you don't want to plug that up. Well, we're going to do like they suggested, and we're going to put this on dry. We're not going to put anything as far as sealant on this thing. And I have to say that came out really nice as far as matching this size and shape. I just kind of laid it on there. I put weight on here where I wasn't drawing so it wouldn't move or shift on me when I was trying to trace around it. So now let's see if we can get this thing on. First, we got to get, I want some more grease. I want to put a little grease on here to help that seal go over without hurting it. I've always found the best way to get them on is when I start to go down on it, I tip it and I get one side started first, then I push it the opposite way to help give me some clearance to get the other side down and on. So we'll see how bad this. Oh, you can't tip it much because it's going straight down. I think my counterweight is out of place. There's a slot in this counterweight that has to line up with this boss they got machined in here. Now, I think it's lined up. It's our seal that's holding us up. I'm going to have to work that around to get that to go down on that shaft. Can't tell if it's on there or not. Looks like it's in there. Well, I'm going to have to work this seal around. I'll be back in a second. Well, I finally got it to snap down. I don't know what it was hanging up on. The first time I took it off, the governor had moved over a little bit and wasn't in place. But now we'll put in the bolts and some Loctite. Oh, the company is in Maryland, MD. I couldn't remember exactly what state it was, but that's where they're located. All right, I went and got some Loctite. I don't think we need a whole lot on here. Guess I'm running out or something. It says on my chart I'm supposed to torque these down to 180 inch-pounds. Well, my small torque wrench only goes up to 150 inch-pounds. So I had to get out a bigger one. All these bolts are the same length, so you don't have to worry about where they go. I did wire brush them to get all the old Loctite off the thread so I could screw them in a little easier. And let's see how these, make sure they're all, threads are started right. I hate that cross thread one in aluminum. Feel like they're going okay. That was a little tight. And we'll see how this new gasket material holds up. See how far we got these in here with that. I don't really want to over tighten them. So that's that. Now we got to put the oil pump back in. Put the pump parts in. We'll drop in the little drive shaft that hooks into the end of the camshaft. That's what drives the pump. Get this thing to line up. There we go. Put the O-ring in. And put the cover on. Now, before I actually install the engine, I'm going to go back over and make sure these are tight. Next, we'll have to reset the valves because I had them adjusted in a previous video, but I had to loosen them up to be able to get the camshaft out. At first, when I put this board on the end of this bench, I didn't know if I was going to like it or not, but I had a lot of viewers say, yes, you want this stuff at your fingertips. So I decided to leave it on. But mentioning this bench, I've got something that I'm not going to use. Ever. This is a Black Widow bench. It's made for ATVs and motorcycles. It'll pick up 1,500-pound machine, so I can even lift up my Ingersoll to work on it. I am never going to use this motorcycle front tire vise. It bolts up here. When you put your bike up here, you put the tire between this vise and you clamp it. If somebody is interested in that, let me know, because I have 2 of them. This thing came with 2 of them. I'll never use either one of them. So if somebody out there has got a bench they built, or if they damage this thing and they need a new one, let me know. Okay, we got the pump in, we got the engine back together. Kind of hard to turn this thing over without something to hang on to. And it still turns over. That's a good sign, right? So I guess that's enough for this one. The next video is going to be probably maybe readjusting the valves and cleaning the carburetor. I don't know what kind of gasoline the previous owner used, but I'm sure it had ethanol in it. And speaking of that, this is a picture I found online. A guy wrote in and said he'd been trying everything to get his machine running. The engine. He said, I put a new spark plug in it. I checked the valve clearance. I cleaned the carburetor. And he did a couple other things. A new air breather. He says, I can't get it to run. Then he bought a new carburetor and put on it. It still wouldn't run. Well, this is finally what he did. Oh, he put a new fuel filter on it. And finally he thought, I'm gonna check the fuel line. So he cut the fuel line off and he looked. I hope you can see that. The fuel line is collapsing. The inner liner inside of that hose is collapsing from the ethanol. That's what ethanol is not good in a small engine. But I have so many people call me and say, I've been using it for years and I've never had a problem. Well, you're lucky, because ethanol will dissolve rubber it dissolves plastic, and it also will react with some metals. They didn't say which one, but Google it. It'll tell you. So that's it for this, and we'll be back with either one or two more videos on finishing this up. So until next time, work safe, have fun, and I'll talk to you soon. So long.